Okay, so I did a live stream where I started this item. This is going to be your basic drawstring crocheted hat. And normally you do the ribbed, I do a ribbed edge, so I would only go in a single crochet into one part of the stitch to create that ribbed effect. But because it's going to be covered in fur, there's no point in doing all that tedious. So I just single crocheted the entire thing, just regular single crochet. I chained 33. No, I apologize. I chained 36, and then I did 62 rows is what it turned out to be. And it is like, it's like a rug. It's so thick. This will be a nice, warm, pleasing, whatever to the senses hat. Unless you just don't like furry things, then this would not be the hat for you. So just so you know, I just for a couple tips on working with the fur yarn is to make sure each and every time after you complete a row is go and check. Just give it a good eyeball. Make sure you haven't missed a stitch. Of course, unless you're just really good at it. But I did miss a stitch one time where I only had the fur yarn on, so I undid the row and went back and fixed it. I get tired, I'm working at night, and I get really sleepy and drowsy, and so then I make errors, so I make myself quit when I'm working at night. And then, what else did I do? Yeah, somehow or another, I had decreased, and I think just when you get on the edge, I didn't go too far, though, so that was a correction I had to make. So this is the first time I've done one of these with fur yarn like this. I've teamed it with regular yarn, because really and truly, I mean, hats can be decorative for decorative purposes, but it's a winter hat, so it should have warmth. And fur yarn, this type of eyelash fur yarn is just not going to give warmth. And usually when they like manufacture them or whatever commercially, they put liners in it, and so this is all fur, both sides. So what I would recommend, just as a tip, or suggestion, that each time you do a row, when you start to get along, when I would just take it like this and then just fold it in half and make sure that you are matching up. Just like look and see how, hey, did I, so that you don't have anything missing there. That's just a suggestion. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to, because I promised when I did the live stream that when I already said, how many chains to do, how many rows to do. And when I come together to bring it together to create the drawstring toboggan effect, that I would do a video on that. So that's where I am right now. I do believe I have enough. And so I am just going to slip stitch this. Slip stitch it, and then I'm going to drawstring it and put it together. Yay. What I always do also is when I'm going to take a break or something, I mean, you could use, stitches or stitch markers or whatever, but I like to create a very large loop, and then I bundle everything up and then just sort of wrap the loop around it so that the loop doesn't get pulled, because if you lose track of this fur yarn, it slips through and you have to chase that down, and it can be a little tricky. This is a really thin fur yarn, eyelash fur yarn. Some of them's a little bit thicker. So this is the Lions brand fur yarn made in Turkey, and I don't believe that this particular style of fur yarn from Lions brand is available anymore. I don't think. I could be wrong about that, but at any rate, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these back down, and I'll pause this for a second. Okay, had to grab some scissors. So the only thing to keep in mind, that if you are selling, you're making an item to sell it, and you are working with fur yarn, it does take a little bit more time. Okay, so if it's an item that's not really going to be a hot seller, and you're going to have to charge more, for like a hat, you have to kind of calculate in extra labor hours, and I don't know what, people charge. Everybody's different as far as what they calculate the price based on the amount of hours that it takes to complete. I do, so at any rate, this working with it is this particular type of thin is not, it doesn't slow me down that much, except for when it comes, you just have to take a little bit more time checking the rows for me personally, and coming to the end to make sure that you've got each and every stitch, because that last one can sometimes get a little hidden with the fur, and make sure you're not decreasing by accident. So at any rate, it does take a little bit longer, but obviously if you work with it a lot, you'll get better at it. But I love the fur yarn items, and I don't really have an Etsy um, presence, really. So if anybody wants to go show love to my Etsy shop, and even if you don't want to buy stuff, you can just love all my stuff. And I do that for other people. If I like an item on Etsy, I make sure I do give it love. I do have a big order for Christmas. Several items that I have to make. So that's actually my first. I'm not doing orders. Like, I'll just put an item on there and then people want it or they don't. But this is somebody, personal friend. But anyways. Okay, so here we go. I'm just trying to get some stuff together. Yeah. My doggy. Thinking I'm going to turn it this way. Just trying to make sure that I have the best side. I mean, it's all pretty much the same when you're working with fur yarn. I just want to make sure, because I'm thinking it's about the same. At any rate, it's going to be turned inside out once I get done slip stitching it. Okay, so I'm going to go through this first stitch here, wrap this around, and bring it through. I got the first one done, and then just make sure I'm lining it up nice and evenly, and it doesn't get away from me. So I'm going to hold it down, weight it down, so I don't have any oopsies here when I'm putting it together. Make sure I don't got any twists on my hook. And I'm ready to go in and bring this baby together. I've just been pretty much trying to take my time with this. And, I don't like, to leave any kind of flaws, even though the fur will actually cover it up, just because, it's an item that I'm going to sell, and I want to, give my best to the product that I'm selling to somebody else. I think that would be the respectful thing to do. So, just slip stitching it together. It's just real simple. This is just your basic single crochet toboggan style hat, and I have not decided, even as of now, whether or not I'm going to put some kind of like palm on the top of it. Probably when I get it close together. I was thinking about a trim on the edge, and then maybe a hat. I'll just have to wait and see, because I do hope and I do believe that I should have enough of this color to make a small scarf to go with it. That's what I'm hoping. I wanted to do a set, and I was hoping that I had enough fur yarn, and I may have enough. It's just sort of push that fur yarn down to make sure that I'm hitting each stitch, because I definitely don't want any gaps. Somebody be putting a hat on their head and feel a little breeze. It's like, what is this breeze? So just push it down. And this is not going to be visible, obviously, because you turn it inside out. And we see how it's lining up. It's looking good. Because when you don't have this fur, you can see the edge very clearly. But when you're working with fur, that's a little bit trickier. Not bad. And just making sure that you only have 2 yarns on the hook with each stitch, is, you know, and then it's pulling smoothly so you don't have any snags. Push that down, and it's so soft. I just love working with this yarn. It's just so satisfying. And this would make, really and truly, oh, I love this color. I really do. I love the earth colors. And this would make a beautiful little purse. And I almost got tempted to stop making the hat. And when I got it, was just like just the right size that it could have been a purse. I was like, oh, this would be so cute. I got tempted, but I'm like, no, I'm going to do what I started out to do. But I do have some red and some other colors that I'm definitely going to be doing the little purses with. And they make such cute little purses. And I don't know, you can put a liner in them, but I think that would not even be necessary. Except for, I mean, not for a small purse, like a bigger purse that, you know, if you're going to put, you know, items that would weigh it down, obviously, you know, you don't want a stretchy purse. A lot of people do put liners in them. But for a little small novelty purse, yeah, you know, nah. Like a little girl's purse, or it doesn't have to be for a little girl, but all right, I'm matching up here. So I have some big list of stuff that I'm going to be doing, and I have found some really cute ideas. I'm also going to be incorporating some crafts I'm going to be doing soon. I'm going to probably put a playlist of all of the stuff that I'm making and separate it from my other videos. Make sure I'm going to end matched up. I'm trying to feel this here as I'm going along. I'm making sure that it's all lined up. Do this as you go along so you don't have to go back and fix something. It's matching up, so I'm glad. Again, this takes a little bit more time to make, and especially if you've never worked with fur yarn before. Anyways, but as far as just like the general pace for making a single crochet, I don't think it slowed me down. The only thing that really slowed me down was the edges. You know, getting to the end of each row and, you know, making sure. And plus I was crocheting at night when I was sleepy, which I should never do, because then I have tendencies to make error. But thankfully I caught them. At least I hope I caught all of them. Almost done. About 3 more. So you just slip that through. It's feeling a little tight. Okay. And then I'm going to draw a string here in a minute. Just go through the top, which I showed that on my pumpkin. I have a little bit of a tail here. It's already secured, but I'm just going to leave that there because I'm going to use that, incorporate that here in a minute. So I gave it an extra little knot there. No, something didn't feel right. Okay. Going through this one, then going through this one, bring it through. Okay, a little bit of a snag. Oh, that's that tail trying to come through there. Little rascal. Told him to stay out of the way and he's not listening. Get that tail over here. Twist that. Don't want that coming up in there because I'm going to be using that tail. Otherwise I probably would just darn it in with this, but not this time. Alright. Stay over there, tail. Stay over there. I'm going to get with you in a minute. Okay. All right. I think I have one. Yeah, that last little one there. I'm going to go through it. And it all matched up, so yay. And bring it through a big loop again, only because I don't want that fur yarn to get away from me. So, ta-da! Looks like a big old muff. So, now I'm going to darn it at the top. Okay. So right there, where that little tail is, I'm going to give a little snip, snippity dip, woo! And bring this through, hang on to this tail here. It's trying to get away, it's trying to run away. Uh-oh, lost the tail's partner. Uh-oh, he's here somewhere. Oh no, where you at? Come here, tail. You're always trying to slip away from me. All right, now. Then, I take these, and I'm going to join them together. Then it's going to be time to do the drawstring. Do. Just give it a nice little stretch before I do that. You don't even have to do it from this side. I think I'm actually going to draw a string from this side because I think this bottom, I can't make up my mind. Ooh, look at that. That's so pretty. It's gonna be a hat. Whee! And then I'm probably going to do some trim right here. I have a different type of fur yarn that is I'm thinking about using on this hat. I haven't made up my mind yet. So I'm going to turn it inside out. Right. Just kind of, before I do this, let's see what it looks like. You can just, if you want, afterwards, you just sort of, you can pick some of it, that's some of the fur that's tucked into the yarn, if you want to make it even fluffier, you know, if you want to spend even a little bit more time on it. But I think it looks great like it is, even if it stretches, it, you know. Okay, so it's time for darning, and I'm going to pause this video. Okay, you can either use a yarn needle or you can just use a crochet hook, and I just did a slip knot to bring through to darn it the very top row, and it's completely up to you if you're more comfortable with a, you know, a yarn needle. My grumpy dog over there doesn't want to share the chair. And I would not put it too close together, like every fourth row. Okay. And just take your time. See, I'm going up to this top row here, which actually I don't like the way that's placed, so I'm going to redo it. All right, starting at the top here, I'm going to pull this in, just making sure that I have both of the yarns on the hook or the needle, whichever one you're using. Probably some people would like to use the needle or the yarn needle because, you know, you would have both of them in there, and it wouldn't be able to slip out probably as easily. See, I'm just going to pull it at the very top. go skip a row, actually 2 rows, a set of rows is what I would call it. And then turn this light this way just a little bit. Set this tail here aside so I can just pull it. Turn it as you need to, flip it. Just making sure, the more consistent that you go in when you're darning it, the better the drawstring pull will be, and it won't look goofy, like if you've got some up here and some down here, it won't scrunch right. Nope, that's not even. I'm going to be icky-picky about this. I went in way too low on that one. Way too low. My apologies. But, pause this. See, I think the reason I like using the crochet hook in the darning instead of the needle is because if I do have to make a correction, I think for me, it would be easier to undo it by taking it off the hook. But if it's through it, threaded through a needle, then, you'd have to, it's be kind of tricky to get that needle all the way back out to pull the yarn back out. So that's my preference. Working with something like this, where the visibility is not your average. It's a little bit different. Not bad. Just want to make sure that I'm evenly across, not up here then down here, that kind of thing. Skip a set of rows, or however many you feel comfortable. It's your preference, but I wouldn't want to do it too far apart. I want a nice tight closure at the top. And especially if you're not going to be adding a palm, because if there's a little bit of a glitch at the top, you can always cover it up with a palm, or a palm. Palm will cover those things up. But I do think I may be adding a palm. I just haven't made up my mind yet. I definitely want to make a smooth, furry trim, because this will be a cuffed toboggan. It's not like a beanie toboggan. It's like, where you have a cuff at the bottom. I love cuffed toboggans, especially I make decorative toboggans. I put, decor on the cuffs. Just kind of, I don't want to pull it, scrunch it yet. I want to keep it nice and flat. So when I pull it, it may want to try to scrunch, and I'll just flatten that back out, because I don't want to do that yet. I want it even and flat until I get it all the way darned. This is definitely taking a little bit longer to darn. My back is hurting. I'm leaning. I have these rods in my upper back. It's like I had artificial parts. I had an artificial disc in my lower back, and I was so thankful, because after having already been through a double fusion in my spine, definitely did not want another fusion. I'm so thankful. So now I'm looking at possible surgery in my neck. Hopefully I can put that off for a while. I'm doing physical therapy right now. But the good news is he did say that it looks possible that I may not have to have a fusion. If you lose too much disc space and you wait too long, and or you have facet arthritis, then you're not really a candidate for disc replacement, which is in my opinion, having had both done, definitely, absolutely, definitely the better route to go. Of course, that's my opinion. You have to have spine surgery. Oh my goodness. To keep the back straight. If I lean even a little bit, it's just so crunchy where those rods are. Okay. Just turning it. Ooh, I'm almost there. How exciting. Yay. Next stitch, I'm going to be matching up to the first one. Okay, all right. Do that nice little flatten tug. Okay. What did I do? Here's my tail. Hang on a second. Okay, so here's the loop, and here's the beginning working yarn. And here's the little remainder tail, which I'm also still not done with. Okay. Bring it in. Make sure it's pulled all the way through. So I'm getting ready to bring them together. So here's back at the hem, which is where I started. So I'm going to bring this up over. So I go, wait a minute. Whoop, it's stuck. Okay. I'm going to go through that hem. Bring this guy, this little thingy. See if that's going to go through. That is really, really, really tight. It's probably not going to work. Too tight for a double yarn. Anyways, that's okay. That's all right. I don't really like to darn over the edge, but to each their own. Some people don't mind doing that, but I kind of do. Okay, so right up on top of that hem there, I'm going to bring that last one through, and then I'm ready to snip. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail here. Okay, figure out what's what here. So I don't get them confused. I should have used something to set those aside, but yeah, that's the working yarn. I'll put this through the two loops. Ta-da! Now it's time to pull it, turn it, kind of work it through. And that doesn't, it's got a little bit of a hole there, but just keep working it nice and gently, not to break it. And then I'm going to turn it inside out, and I'll do the closure later. And oh my goodness, I freaking love it. Love, love, love. There is my, it's a good size one too. So look at that. So I'm going to pause this and show you what I'm going to do at the top. Okay, so because there is this suggestive two-toned, because there's brown yarn, darker yarn, right? I have just a little bit of this. It's a different type of fur yarn. It's really silky, so silky. Like this camera doesn't do it any justice, right? And so I have thought, I haven't made up my mind yet, but I definitely want to do some kind of trim, or some kind of palm at the top. I may just make a palm out of this right here, because I'm not sure that this would look right. But if I make it, you know, like do a different kind of fur here, I just haven't made up my mind yet. I may just experiment and see how I like it. Just because there's a darker brown in the background, and I thought I could get by with that because this is actually two-toned. It's like not quite as light as this, but you know, just to give it, you know, you add more browns to it, you can wear it with more things is what I was thinking. But I don't know. I'll just have to wait and see. I may experiment with that. But for right now, this is the hat. And I'm definitely going to put a palm on the top. I just think it would look cute with the palm on the top. And then I'm going to put a trim at the very end here. Even if I just put some more fur. I just want a nice smooth transition edge there. And not so it doesn't, because you know you can see the edging there, so I think that should have a smooth end to it, if you will. But ta-da! My first fur yarn toboggan winter hat. Oh, it's so soft, so soft.